What's up, everybody? This little segment is designed to introduce a new piece of equipment that I'll be using in these tutorials, and it's called a tilt-shift lens. Specifically, I will be using Nikon's new 19mm tilt-shift lens attached to my Nikon D810. This lens is great for architectural photography. It allows you to do a few interesting things, and the main thing it allows you to do is shift. So as I twist this dial here, you can see that lens shifting down. If you've never seen one of these lenses before, that looks kind of funny. Why would you want your lens to shift up and down? Well, it's interesting when we're shooting architectural photography and we point the camera down, especially at wide angles, or up, we get distorted vertical lines. So if you point the camera up in a cityscape over water, you know that your vertical lines of the towers bend in or bend out as you start to rotate down. And in post-processing, we can do something to correct that, but you still are distorting the underlying pixels. What this allows you to do is point with a centered and level horizon, and instead of tilting down, you can actually shift down, and the camera is going to reveal the lower part of the frame by shifting down. You can also shift up, and you can actually move the camera up and down, the lens up and down, without distorting the environment. Now, we're going to be covering some of those in the field. The other thing that we're going to be covering with this lens is how to stitch a pano, because if you can actually reveal different parts of your scene by shifting up and down or side to side, you can stitch those together seamlessly. The other feature of this lens is the tilt. The tilt is up here, and this looks really funny if you've never seen one of these before. It actually tilts the lens up and down. What this will do is give you an exaggerated, shallow depth of field that's usually classified as a miniature effect. When you shoot cityscapes, for example, with one of these lenses, you can make it look like it's a miniature film set. So that's pretty cool. These lenses are technically very impressive based on the capabilities and shooting scenarios you can come up with. But essentially, just to sum it up, this might be a 19mm lens, but this is actually more like an 11mm lens, giving you the ability to shift around inside of that 11mm form factor on the sensor. So the end result, no matter how you shift, may actually be 19, but it requires it to have a larger projection on the camera itself. In this case, this should be right around 11mm. Now, some lenses are going to allow you to shift more, and some are going to allow you to shift less based on the final output, whether it's 17, 19, or 24, and based on what the actual physical projection is of the millimeter onto the sensor itself. Because of the actual millimeter projection size to the sensor itself, this lens is much larger, and because of the mechanics, much heavier than a typical 18 or 19mm lens. Now, I know this may seem a little bit more complicated than it should because I'm just here sitting at a table and twisting knobs on this lens, but I think I have the perfect place in New York City to test this out and explain exactly how the shift function works. Next time you guys see me, we're going to be on the top of the rock overlooking the entire skyline of Manhattan.